Hi, so I'm back with a new video in which I'm going to show you how I set up my bullet journal for this year. And I have to admit that I've been putting it off for a little bit because I've had some pretty rough past few months, and I don't know if anyone else is like this, but I just felt like I couldn't set up my bullet journal until I got my head on straight, which is probably a bit counterintuitive, but I wanted to film it anyways because, you know, sometimes life happens and things don't always go as planned, but you've got to work with what you've got. So even if you're not planning along with me this time, I hope that you can still enjoy this video and that it'll maybe help in your future setups. So you're going to be able to tell that this setup is very minimal. I just wanted to get back to basics for now because I feel like that's what's going to help me focus on actually getting my life together instead of just, you know, creating beautiful spreads, which I really enjoy as well. But one thing that I've noticed since I started making these videos is that maybe subconsciously my focus slowly shifted towards things like, you know, wanting to make the cover page look best for the thumbnail and stuff like that instead of the productivity aspect of the bullet journal, which defeats the purpose for me. So I just needed to take a step back and refocus on what it is that I want my bullet journal to do for me, as well as what I want to show in these videos, which is that simple and practical can be beautiful as well. So this bullet journal should last me about 5 to 6 months, which is why I set up my future log until August, and I split it into 2 month sections. The reason why I left a lot of blank space on each spread is because I actually want to break down every single goal into small enough steps so that I can actually get things done instead of having, you know, big yearly goals, because I know myself well enough to know that those would probably seem too intimidating and I would just end up maybe not using those spreads. The quote stickers that I use throughout this setup are actually really important to me because they're not just random quotes that I found, but ones that really spoke out to me, and they're all kind of related to each spread. So I guess they're kind of like mantras to each area of my life for the next half a year. And I think having quotes that mean something to you can be really powerful, especially when they're in your face like this, because they can help you reflect on whether or not your actions are aligned with your goals. But anyways, I followed one of Christine's tutorials on how to make these stickers, and I'll make sure to link that down below for you. I knew I wanted to do a simple budget spread this year, so I went for a very visual and basic approach. So I just drew a graph where you have the months at the bottom and the budget going vertically. And I'm pretty much leaving it at that because I think it's better to do something simple that you can keep up with, but I also think a graph like this is just a nice way to keep an eye on your budget. And I also have some space at the bottom for any notes or whatever else I might need. On the next page, I made a list of all the recurring monthly expenses that are sometimes easy to overlook because they just get taken out from my account. So this gives me an idea of how much money I absolutely have to spend every single month and how to manage the rest of it. It's a very basic budget spread, but I just really didn't want to overwhelm myself with too much stuff to fill out throughout the year, so I think this should do for now. So I used those letter stems for the titles because I just gotten them and really wanted to try them out, and I honestly also think that if you don't have the neatest handwriting, then this can help make things look a little more cohesive. But you know, it's an extra step that is obviously optional, and you can totally replace it with your normal handwriting. The next spread is just a reading list, and speaking of reading, I actually just finished The Bullet Journal Method by Ryder Carroll, who, as you probably know, invented the system. And at first I was a bit hesitant because I was already very familiar with the original system, but I have to say it was so much more than that, and it felt like one of those books that fell into my hands at just the right time because it dives more into why and how to lead a more intentional life, and how obviously the bullet journal is meant to be a tool that can really help you with that. And most of the quotes that I used throughout the setup are actually quotes that Ryder used in his book as well. It really honestly inspired this whole setup. So yeah, I'm really glad I read it. I honestly couldn't put it down, and if you're ever in a rut, I really think this book will help. So we are getting to the final spread of this setup already, and I just wanted to quickly mention the notebook that I'm using for those of you who are wondering. If you haven't been following for a while, you know that last year I started using a blank notebook as a bullet journal, and I got so used to it that dotted pages look weird to me now. Like, I'm just not used to seeing all those dots anymore. So I'm just using a blank Moleskine notebook, and it's not perfect, but I actually like it more than I thought I would. I will of course have links to everything that I used in the description. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this setup, and this is what everything looks like. It's actually been a couple weeks since I filmed this video, so I have been using it for a while, and I love it because it's simple. It's just what I needed to feel like I can start from scratch and set myself up for doing really good things this year, and I definitely hope we can do that together. Thanks so much for being here. I have missed you all, and I can't wait to see you in my next video. Bye guys!